Hey everybody, Invisiblekatana here doing a yay or nay episode for Steep from E3 2016. I gotta be honest, when I first saw this, I actually really loved it. I was like, that looks really fun to me. Um, Oddly enough, when I was looking at it, it's like, okay, I see how they're doing things. You technically get points for stuff, but it's kind of just to hang out and have fun a little bit, sort of a snowboarding slash skiing slash parachuting slash wingsuit game. But looking at it like all together is like this makes me think of we had SSX from EA, and that was a more realistic version of SSX compared to like SSX Tricky, which is still my favorite, the second one. But that was a more removed version of SSX, and it was closer to realistic stuff, and you still had the crazy moves and things like that. But you could just tell it just wasn't as super silly and over the top. It was far more realistic. You had much bigger maps. It wasn't the maps seemed just bigger and more realistic. That's just how the game felt. And then this made me think of that like times 10. And it was like, this is like just flat out realism. Like, it's just realist. I don't know why I said realism like that. But it's just realistic. It's very real. And you still have, like I said, the point system. So they have certain things with the wingsuits where if you get close to the ground or you do a quick little dodge left or right, you get points for that stuff. They still have they have challenges within the game, races, tricks. I believe they have one for the wingsuits that I saw where it's like get as close as you possibly can to the ground without crashing. So there are lots of challenges and races and little different things that you can do with and against other players, but it's still very realistic. And I watched I want to say it was like a 15-minute gameplay trailer. I watched two different gameplay demos of it because I wanted to actually see different people and how they played it and stuff like that. And what I saw from it, it seemed okay. I was super excited when I first saw it because I was like, I don't really play a lot of sports games. I don't really like sports games at all. The only ones I like are the silly ones. So like SSX, the Street games. So NBA Street, NFL Street, NBA Jam. I love NBA Jam, and I think that's really it. I think though that technically I believe that's it in Blitz. I like Blitz because you get to tackle people after the plays. That's always funny to me. But I don't really like a ton of sports games, and this one got me. And if there is a sport I'm interested in, it is snowboarding because it looks really cool. You get to see all these trees, and even though it's so simple and it's typically just very wide open, it always looks very beautiful when I see like snowboarding games and stuff. So maybe it's partly aesthetic and partly gameplay, but for whatever reason, I thought it looked great. Watching the gameplay, it was kind of it was alright. It definitely makes a difference. It was really funny. I watched two videos. So one was a YouTuber, and his video I enjoyed. He did a little intro on it, and I wish I could remember who it was. Probably an annotation, just if you guys want to check it out. But his was entertaining. He was doing some of the tricks and stuff, and he mentioned unfortunately during the demo they didn't let people do the camera aspect, which really sucked because that was another thing that really caught my attention was being able to make videos and having the freeform camera, which I love that in any video game. I wish every game did that, to be totally honest. If you can make every game, every game came with a suit, at least, the pseudo debug mode where you can do the free roam camera. I would love that, and we could all make like our own little trailers and commercials of games. I just think that would be great because I always love seeing that, and they use the camera in ways that you never see in gameplay. I wish everybody had that, but sadly we haven't. There's no gameplay out there outside of the Ubisoft demo that they showed off of the camera stuff, so we didn't really get to see that. But the footage he showed was pretty cool. He was going down a different hill. The map that they have for the demo at E3 was wide open, or at least it was a giant chunk, so people could do so many different things. That the two videos that I saw, the footage was totally different. They were in completely different parts. But his video was fun to watch, and he's going down and he's doing races and stuff like that. And I enjoyed that. And that was the second video I watched. Because the first one was an IGN video. And I don't know who was playing, but it was so funny because they were crashing all the time. It was funny. Some of them were really funny. They did one flip, and it was hilarious to me because he flipped and he literally just face planted because he timed it wrong. And it was just like everything just cut. Like because the music when you crash actually drowns out until you finally get back up. But he just went like, he did a flip and it just went boom, and he just hit the snow face first, and he was just done. And I thought that was so funny. But he was crashing like crazy, and whoever was playing, was just crashing all over the place, and it was kind of funny to watch. But they also weren't landing tricks right, so it's kind of like it really can be a difference of the gameplay that you see that has you amped up for what you initially thought of. So looking at both of those videos together, still excited for this. I do want to see a lot more of the camera thing because that was one of the parts that got me the most excited. But it is open world, and I got to see that in one of the demos as well. In the second one from the YouTuber, I actually got to see that where I believe he was skiing and someone was in a wingsuit and they were like flying past him. I didn't actually get to see the person because they were too far off, but it has markers for everyone that's there. So it's like, oh, this person was like 42 or 50 meters away from them. So I thought that was cool. I was like, okay, you actually get to see other people when you go through some of the markers to start up challenges. It's kind of like SSX where the ghost images come up, but it looks a little bit better because it looks like the people are actually there, even though they're not. At least it looks like it, because SSX had this. They had like the worst online. It was like you only got to see ghosts, and when you actually played online, you didn't even see the people. It was basically, oh, this person made it, but even when you start the race, no one's there. I always hated that. Like I love that game. It's fun to play, but that always bugged me. It was like we don't even get to see the people. It's just they made it. That's it. And like you never see anyone. It's basically like you're by yourself until that little timer comes up and says they made it. So that's one thing I'm glad they have. You actually get to see other people, and when they're in the world. And I don't know, who knows how that's really gonna play out once they kind of finalize it. If you're online where you literally just run into people, kind of like an MMO sort of deal, because that's something I always wonder with console games because they don't tend to do that. It's always sort of yeah, you're always in the same world, but there's always some minor little thing you have to do to activate that same world that they're always talking about before you can actually see the other people. So we're gonna have to wait and see exactly how that plays out. But it looked really cool. Um, there was no loading, which I thought was cool, because the person in the first demo, the IGN demo, they were going all over the place. They were doing like a bunch of different challenges. They do a little race. They'd be at the bottom of the hill. They would hit retry. It was just like that, and they'd start the race all over again. Finish the race a second time. Open up like the big world map, and they would just be like, "All right, I'm here." They would go like it would have to be like over 100 miles, and it would just be like, boom, load up the whole thing automatically, and it's done. And I love that. I was like, that's really cool. It's super fast. That's always one of the things, of course, with demos. It's either super fast because it may not be on the console, although I'm assuming at this point it's on whatever console they're gonna do it on, or one of them at least. So it's either that or it's not as high tech as it's gonna be in the final version, which obviously it's not at this point. So that's another thing where it's like it seems super fluid, zero loading whatsoever, stuff like that. At least once you're in game. But we'll kind of have to wait and see, of course, when it comes out. It does seem simple enough that they can do it, and it seems like that's what they have. As you move around the map, um, it's almost like it loads as you look at the map, and I think that's what they have it set up as. As you move towards that location, it kind of loads in the trees just in the overview style. So you can see where the trees are, you see where the little bits of rock protrude at that aren't covered up by snow, little stuff like that. So no loading, I thought looked phenomenal. It's like you just went you know, 5 minutes as it could be like 10 miles or something crazy if you're doing like crazy leaps and all this other stuff. And excuse me, you hit retry if you're doing a race or whatever. Boom, snap of a finger, went black for less than a second, came right back up, and just start right over. And I thought that was really good. And that's another simple thing as well. A lot of games currently have that with races, but this was also still in the open world aspect of it. So I like that idea. Thought that was very cool. Seeing the wingsuit in action from different players, very fun. The crashing, like I said, thought looked really fun. The YouTuber that I watched mentioned that it seemed like you couldn't really get up, but I saw people, or in the IGN demo, the person was able to get up after they crashed. But if you do like a really hard fall, it does seem like it's almost impossible. Like they, it's almost full ragdoll. Like they crash sometimes on like the snowboards, and they'll just keep flipping and spinning, and it's like, well, I was gonna try to wait and keep going, but it's like I have to restart because just falling, depending on how steep the hill is where you fell at, you will fall for like 5 seconds straight or more, and that it doesn't seem like a long time, but when you're just waiting and waiting to not keep tumbling down this giant hill, that's a super long time. So hopefully that might change, and maybe that's just an aspect of the game. Like, I mean, that is fairly realistic. Sometimes if you hit really hard, especially on a steep hill, and you start tumbling, it's hard to stop. But it seems like there's zero control, and it's like it really is. Once they fall, you have no control until it's a completely flat surface for them to get up on their own. So that might be something that they have to change, because otherwise you trip once on a steep hill or something, it's like, well, crap, I got to restart. Like, there's no fun in it because you can't kind of go through and try to keep up with the race or anything. It's like, all right, it failed, and I got to start all over again. Like, as soon as you mess up once. So that's kind of how it seems a little bit right now. At least on the steeper hills, it's like you get one shot, and any little screw up, you're done for. So they might have to work on that a little bit. Maybe give us control, because sometimes when they fall, they're just falling sideways, so they can't. The snowboard isn't hitting the snow; it's just flipping sideways through the snow with the person. So they're rolling sideways down the hill instead of going forward, where they could probably try to use their feet with the board and slow down. So this seems like something they might have to add in there, or at, either change it up a little, or just flat out give us at least some control, to how they fall in the direction, so we can try to correct it as we're falling. But that was a minor little thing. I still think it looked really fun. I got to see the GoPro camera angle. That is freaking insane. I don't know how in the world anyone could pull that off, but it looked cool. Like, I would love to see someone actually pull that off, because it's not just first person. It's like on the GoPro camera. So first off, they have the audio, which actually sounds really great. It sounds like it's actually on the GoPro, because you can hear like the shaking, and you hear the clothes, and you hear like the bit of rattling. And I was like, that's a really great touch. Clearly GoPro wanted to be in this game, because even in the parachute, it's like, GoPro, be a hero. So that was obvious from the first trailer. It was like a GoPro parachute. I was like, oh, they really made sure they got the actual name. So it's full on GoPro. It's probably going to be called the GoPro angle or something like that. But when they were doing it and he was doing tricks, he did like a flip, and it was just like, man, this isn't VR or anything. And I was looking at it like, that messes with me a little bit. Like, it kind of just feels like you're really doing the flip. And I love that. I thought it was really great. I don't know how often I'll use that. Maybe use it for videos. I think a lot of people would do it for their edited, personal videos and stuff like that. But looked really cool. There were two other angles. One is like the regular angle, and then another was called like the free ride angle or free camera angle. I only saw that a little bit. It seemed like it was either further back, or it would kind of stand in place, and you really could control both the person and the camera. I'm not sure, but I forgot which demo I was watching that in. But whoever was doing that, they were switching through the angle so fast it didn't stop on the free camera thing. It seemed like they were getting away from the camera. So I'm like, I don't know exactly what that angle does, but it seemed like maybe it just pulls back really far, and you get to see it from like a really big angle, maybe. But I'm still excited for this game. I want to see more of what they have, really, because it seemed like, at this point at least, as excited for it as I am, I wouldn't get it at full price. Like, it's still a yay for me. I flat out, I'd say it's a yay on this one, but it's not a full price yay. At least not for what I've seen. As much as I want to do the silly video stuff, and as funny as it is to see people, like, when they hit, especially when they're doing like some of the big tricks, and they like hit a rock or they hit a tree, they like spin out of control, or they tumble, and it'll say wrecked and stuff. And a lot of people in the comments mention like Skate 3. I definitely got that vibe from it as well. If you want to play around with friends, like, let's only do like crazy crashes and make a video like that, you easily could, and I think it would work perfectly for this game. And I think that's part of why I like it. It reminds me a little bit of Skate. It has that snowboarding aspect, plus it has skiing, which gives you slightly different moves. And the wingsuit thing, I really love. I like that idea, and that's probably the most fast-paced gameplay, depending on the way you kind of utilize it, with getting really close to the ground and flying in between trees. Because I saw another trailer, or it may have been an interview, actually, I believe, where they have moves where, as you're doing the wingsuit, you can kind of juke left and right at like the last second, and he was about to hit a rock, and he did just like that at the last second, and kind of flew over and dodged it. So they have little last minute maneuvers with that, which I thought was very cool. Um, the physics look pretty interesting. You walk differently based on whether or not you're in the wingsuit and stuff, and like when they have the parachute, it looks a little bit different when you're walking, and of course when you have when you're skiing, you just walk, using the skis. So there's differences and stuff like that, just in like little minor things when you're walking with the snowboard and stuff. And I was like, okay, that's actually just a little, those are the little, really little touches, but look pretty cool. I'm still excited for this game. I am curious if they're gonna have some sort of story mode, if they'll do maybe like a competition sort of deal with story, or if it's truly just gonna be like, hey, it's just characters and missions. Because they, also in the trailer they show like, oh, here's a person in like the clown costume and stuff like that, or with the clown mask. So there's customization. So I'm wondering if these characters have personalities, or it's just you are the snowboarder slash skier and all this stuff, and you just make the character look the way you want to. You can choose, of course, between male and female. So they obviously have choices there, and I'm sure certain boards and skis do maybe have different speeds. I don't know if they're gonna do stuff like that, or if it's really realistic and it's just based on you. Everything's the same. It's just aesthetics. So we'll have to wait on that stuff, but still a yay for me. I mean, when it got announced, I was super excited for it. Seeing the gameplay, still excited, but because they kind of blocked off the camera thing from people, that kind of sucked. I really wanted to see a big chunk of that, because that was one of the things that got me so excited. Like, oh, I can pause this, and even if you didn't want to do videos, you could just do little cool pictures in game. And some people, might really want to do that, like me, because sometimes you do something really cool, you just want to get a cool little picture of it or whatever for yourself, or for Facebook or whatever. But still a yay for me. Still, not much from it at this point. Still a new IP. Still just kind of just, it's almost like just to hang out and ski and snowboard sort of game with some challenges kind of sprinkled in there. So I feel like it does need to have a little bit more, but it's still a yay for sure. In my book, I still love the idea of it. We don't have a ton of snowboarding games really. That's a lot. That's one thing that people constantly say is like, this specific market of sports games definitely not oversaturated, and that's very true. Every time one of these games comes out, it's like, oh, there's a snowboarding game, and it's like you don't really see that. Shaun White had his stuff, which even then when he was doing his series, which I think might be 3 games, it's either 2 or 3 games. Even then, they spaced that out a long time, so it's like, there's not really much to it, and we'll see what they do. Being maybe we'll see if somebody else announces something. And a lot of people also talk about the game Snow on Steam. So there's a lot of comparisons there. Like, why buy this game from Ubisoft when you could get this currently in development game on Steam, which will probably ultimately come out to like maybe $20 or something like that. So if you haven't played Snow, check it out. I guess I haven't myself, but a lot of people are saying, you know, Snow seems better than Steep, and other people are saying you're an idiot because it's the internet. So I don't know. Didn't check that out myself. I assume you still have to pay, even if it's early in development, but you still have to pay. Excuse me. But excited for Steep. We'll love to know what you guys think about it. The little bit that we've gotten from this brand new IP. So please comment below. Let me know your thoughts on it, what you've seen, if you've seen anything, what you've heard, if you've heard anything as far as developers and stuff like that, what they're saying, not saying, things like that. But definitely want to know what you guys think about it, yay or nay. And of course, thank you guys for watching.